a journey of love and transformation. Lisa grew up in Makutano, a small village in central Kenya, surrounded by red earth roads, acacia trees, and the hum of life in the marketplace. Life was not easy. Her father had passed away when she was young, and her mother raised her and her younger siblings by selling vegetables. Lisa, however, had always carried within her a gift, a heart of compassion. She became the one people turned to when they were sick, when a child fell from a mango tree, when an elder needed medicine from the clinic several kilometers away. Her dream was to one day open a small health center in her village so no one would suffer from lack of care. But dreams were heavy things, often crushed under the weight of poverty. For now, Lisa gave what she could, her time, her patience, her hands. Robert Smith arrived in Kenya not out of choice, but out of circumstance. A retired professor of literature from Canada, he had suffered a stroke that left him partially paralyzed. His daughter, who worked with an NGO in Nairobi, arranged for him to recover in the quiet of the countryside. She believed the slower pace of life would aid his healing. Robert had never been to Africa before. The heat pressed against him. The air smelled of earth and wood smoke, and the nights were alive with crickets. He felt like a broken man in an unfamiliar world. Then he met Lisa, the woman assigned to be his caregiver. She was gentle but firm, her hands steady as she helped him dress, her voice soft as she encouraged him through his physiotherapy. At first, Robert kept his distance. He was a man used to control, independence, and he resented needing help. Lisa, however, was patient. She treated him not just as a patient, but as a person. In the evenings, Lisa would will Robert outside to sit beneath the great acacia tree that overlooked the fields. The sunsets were unlike anything Robert had ever seen, burning skies that melted into endless horizons. It was here their conversations began. Robert asked about Lisa's village, and she told him stories of her grandmother's wisdom, of the songs sung during harvest, of the hardships that came when the rains failed. Robert, in turn, shared memories of snowy winters in Toronto, of libraries filled with books, of the deep loneliness that followed the death of his wife 5 years earlier. Lisa listened with compassion. Robert, for the first time in years, felt truly heard. Slowly, trust began to grow, like seedlings after the first rains. As the weeks turned into months, Robert's body grew stronger, but more importantly, his spirit began to heal. He found himself looking forward to Lisa's laughter, to the way she always noticed beauty in small things. A child's giggle, the scent of fresh chai, the rhythm of rain on the tin roof. Lisa, too, began to change. Robert encouraged her to share her dreams, and when she shyly admitted she wanted to open a clinic, his eyes lit up. He told her she was capable, intelligent, and that her dream was worth fighting for. For a woman who had spent her life serving others quietly, this affirmation stirred something powerful within her. Yet not everyone looked kindly upon their growing closeness. Some villagers whispered that Lisa was foolish, that a foreigner like Robert would never truly belong. Others warned her that she was sacrificing too much for a man who would eventually leave. But Lisa's heart knew what they did not. This bond was transforming them both. The annual harvest festival arrived, a time when the entire village gathered with music, dance, and laughter. Lisa wheeled Robert to the open square where women dressed in bright kangas sang traditional songs and men pounded drums in rhythm. Children danced barefoot in the dust, their joy infectious. At first, Robert felt out of place, the only foreigner amidst so much vibrant culture. But Lisa stayed by his side, translating jokes, explaining the dances, even coaxing him into tasting roasted maize from a vendor. When the elders rose to dance, Lisa surprised him by joining in. Her movements were graceful, her smile radiant. Robert watched, mesmerized, realizing his admiration for her had deepened into something more. That night, under the glow of lanterns, he confessed quietly, "Lisa, being here with you feels like a second chance at life." Lisa's heart raced. She wasn't ready to name what she felt, but she knew her life was no longer the same. The whispers grew louder in the village. Some neighbors scolded Lisa's mother, claiming her daughter was dishonoring tradition by being so close to a foreign man. Others told Lisa outright that Robert was too old, too foreign, too broken. Lisa wrestled with doubt. She cared for Robert deeply, but was she foolish to dream of something more? Robert, too, felt the weight of guilt. Was he burdening her future with his fragile body and foreign past? One evening, as they sat by the acacia tree, Lisa finally voiced her fear. Robert, what if this is wrong? What if we are building a house on sand? He looked at her with tired but sincere eyes. Lisa, love is never wrong, but it is always a choice. I cannot promise you an easy path. I can only promise you my truth, that my heart is yours if you'll have it. Her breath caught, and for the first time, she allowed herself to imagine a future with him. Robert's academic mind awoke again as he began to help Lisa shape her dream. Together, they wrote a proposal for a small health clinic. He taught her how to structure her ideas, how to find international donors, and how to present her vision with confidence. Lisa blossomed under his encouragement. She no longer saw herself just as a village caregiver, but as a woman capable of changing lives. At the same time, Robert felt himself transformed. In teaching her, he rediscovered purpose. In loving her, he rediscovered hope. But with growth came challenges. A wealthy man from the town, who had once pursued Lisa, began spreading rumors that she was only after Robert's money. Some elders pressured her to choose a more suitable match. Lisa's mother remained silent, torn between protecting her daughter and fearing community backlash. One night, Lisa returned home to find her mother waiting. The older woman's eyes glistened with tears. Lisa, she began, you are my daughter, my pride. But this path you are walking, it is heavy. Do you think this man will truly stay? What of your future? What of children, a family? Lisa knelt before her mother, holding her hands. Mama, Robert has given me strength I never knew I had. He has seen me, truly seen me. I cannot turn away from that, even if the world disapproves. Her mother sighed, torn between love and fear. But she also saw the fire in her daughter's eyes, a fire that reminded her of her late husband's determination. Slowly, she nodded. Then, if this is your choice, walk it with courage. The rains came, turning the red earth to mud and filling the air with the scent of life. One evening, as thunder rolled in the distance, Robert asked Lisa to sit beside him. With trembling hands, he held hers. Lisa, I am an old man compared to you. My body is weak, my days fewer than yours. But these months with you, they have been the happiest of my life. If you will allow it, I want to love you not as your patient, but as your partner. Tears blurred Lisa's vision. For so long, she had buried her feelings under duty and fear. Now she lets them bloom. Robert, you are not just my patient. You are my heart. And in that moment, as the rain fell gently against the tin roof, their love was sealed. Not in grand gestures, but in quiet truth. Their love could no longer be hidden. Some villagers smiled kindly, but many reacted with hostility. At the market, Lisa heard whispers. She has betrayed her people. Others accused Robert of taking advantage of her youth. The tension reached a peak when a council of elders summoned Lisa's family. They told her bluntly, Lisa, this man is not of us. His years are nearly done. Why throw away your youth for a dying flame? You must end this. Lisa's voice shook, but she stood tall. I will not end it. Robert has given me hope, strength, and love. If you cannot bless us, then at least do not curse us. Love is not bound by borders or years. Her defiance shocked them, but it also silenced them. The storm had been faced, and Lisa had not wavered. With Robert's guidance, Lisa's clinic proposal was accepted by a Canadian charity. Funds began trickling in, and a small building was erected on donated land at the edge of the village. It was modest, 2 rooms with whitewashed walls, but to Lisa, it was the beginning of her dream. On opening day, Robert sat in his wheelchair by the door, watching as mothers carried children in for care. Elders lined up for checkups, and villagers whispered in awe. Pride swelled in his chest. Lisa had done this not just for him but for her people. That night, he whispered, Lisa, you have built something that will outlive both of us. She smiled softly. And you gave me the courage to believe I could. Robert's daughter came from Nairobi to visit. She was moved by Lisa's devotion and saw the truth of their bond. Taking her father's hand, she said, "If this is your happiness, then I will not stand in the way." Lisa and Robert had a choice before them: move to Canada for easier medical care, or stay in Kenya where Lisa's roots ran deep. After many long talks under the acacia tree, Robert spoke his heart. "Lisa, I don't need the cold streets of Toronto anymore. My home is here, where you are, where love found me again." And so he stayed. Together, they built a life of simplicity but deep joy. Lisa ran her clinic with passion. Robert taught village children under the shade of the acacia tree, reading them stories and teaching them English. They became a symbol not of scandal but of transformation. Years later, as the sun dipped over Makatano, children still gathered under the great acacia tree. The clinic thrived, a beacon of hope. And though Robert's body weakened with time, his spirit remained strong. Lisa often sat beside him, holding his hand as they watched the golden horizon. Their journey had not been easy, but it had been worth every struggle. Love had not only healed a man and lifted a woman. It had transformed 2 lives, 2 families, and even a community. Beneath the acacia tree, where their story began, Robert whispered one final truth. "Lisa, you were my miracle." The rhythms of their days became a blend of 2 worlds. Lisa taught Robert to enjoy ugali with sukuma wiki, roasted maize from the roadside, and sweet Kenyan chai spiced with ginger. Robert, in return, introduced her to maple syrup sent by his daughter, and together they laughed as villagers wrinkled their noses at its strange sweetness. At harvest, Lisa danced in bright kangas while Robert clapped to the beat of drums, his heart alive with joy. In quiet evenings, she listened to him read Canadian poetry under the acacia tree, his voice soft against the backdrop of crickets and distant hyenas. In these simple exchanges between Kenya and Canada, tradition and memory, they built a bridge stronger than suspicion, stronger than time. And so their story closed not in wealth or grandeur, but in something deeper. A Canadian man who found healing far from home. A Kenyan woman who found love and courage to rise. 2 souls transformed, joined forever beneath the wide African sky. Episode 1 ends here. The next episode comes up soon. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the story, please leave a comment. Also like, share, and subscribe to my channel and click on the notification icon so that you will get notified whenever a new story is uploaded.